Intuition isn't a magical force reserved for the spiritual elite. It's a biological electromagnetic response system, a language your body has been speaking since before you knew words. If you feel disconnected, I need to say that you didn't lose your intuition. You just stopped listening. And that's because the world got loud. Loud with shoulds, loud with distractions, and perfectly rational decisions that somehow left you feeling disconnected. The more noise you absorbed, the more distant that quiet knowing became. Not because it faded, but because it was buried, covered by layers of survival, social conditioning, and the belief that certainty only comes from evidence. But here's something few understand. Intuition doesn't argue. It doesn't compete with your to-do list. It doesn't raise its voice to match your overthinking. It waits silently, patiently until the moment you pause long enough to feel. And not just emotionally, but physically, because intuition lives in your body, in your fascia, your gut, your pulse. It's not some ethereal sixth sense. It's ancient intelligence coded into your tissue. And the body has memory far deeper than the mind. Think back. You felt it. That quiet knowing when someone smiled but something felt off. That moment when you walked into a room and the air felt strange even before anyone spoke. That split second before a decision when something inside you tightened, not in fear, but in clarity. That wasn't fear. That wasn't logic. That was intuition whispering before your brain caught up. The latest discoveries in neurobiology and somatic science have been catching up with what mystics have known for centuries. The body doesn't just react. It remembers trauma, joy, grief, longing. They don't live in your thoughts. They live in your nervous system, your muscles, your cells. And if your body holds memory, it also holds wisdom. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk's research on trauma, for example, reveals how unprocessed experiences get trapped in the body and shape perception long after the events have passed. The issue isn't that the body lies. It's that we stop knowing how to read it. And when you override your physical signals in favor of logic, you're not being rational. You're cutting off access to your most advanced sensory system. Now, here's the quantum layer. Every signal your body emits, every sensation is a frequency, a vibration. And the quantum field doesn't speak English. It responds to vibration. So when your body contracts in response to a decision, that's not just a biological reaction. It's a vibrational misalignment. When your chest expands, your breath deepens, and your spine lifts. That's your system saying this is the direction. Intuition then is alignment. It's coherence. It's the body, the heart, and the mind vibrating in harmony with a timeline that already exists, one you're meant to collapse into. And if you're not hearing your intuition right now, it's not because you're disconnected. It's because you've been looking for it in the wrong place, in thoughts, in signs, in the opinions of others. But your body's been speaking all along, through tight shoulders, racing hearts, sudden waves of peace for no apparent reason, through tears that rise out of nowhere, through the goosebumps that arrive without logic. That's not random. That's resonance. That's your internal compass aligning with something unseen, something real. And here's what changes everything. Once you start listening to your body, not as a machine to be optimized, but as an oracle to be honored, reality begins to reorganize around you. Because the field responds to coherence, not effort, not overthinking, but alignment. So let this be your return, not to something new, but to something ancient, a wisdom that never left, only waited. And the more you trust it, the louder it gets. The more you follow it, the clearer life becomes. You were never meant to figure it all out. You were meant to feel your way forward. Because the truth is, your intuition isn't here to explain. It's here to lead. And once you follow that quiet thread, the one that tightens or loosens with every choice, you don't just change your direction, you shift your dimension. And in the next few minutes, we're going to explore how your breath, your brain, and your frequency come together to awaken the full intelligence of your intuition. Not in theory, but an embodied experience. Stay with me. The voice you've been missing is already inside you, and it's about to speak. There's a reason so many ancient traditions centered their practices around breath. Not because it's mystical, but because it's mechanical. Breath is the only bodily function that bridges the gap between conscious and unconscious, between what you control and what controls you. It's the back door into your nervous system, the key to unlocking patterns your body has held for decades. When you're in survival mode, your breath becomes shallow, fast, erratic. It tells your body, we're not safe, and your body obeys. It tightens. It protects. It disconnects you from intuition, because survival doesn't need intuition. It needs reaction. But here's where it gets revolutionary. The moment you change your breath, intentionally, slowly, deeply, you send a signal to every cell that the danger is over, that it's safe to come home, safe to feel, safe to access the parts of you that don't just respond, but know. Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches this in his work with elevated states of consciousness. He uses breath to pull energy up the spine, activating dormant circuits in the brain, and shifting awareness into the quantum field. This isn't just metaphysical poetry. It's biological precision. When you breathe in a certain way, you stimulate the vagus nerve. You shift your nervous system from fight or flight to rest and restore. You go from defense to openness. And when the body opens, the soul speaks. Breath is the bridge. The ancient yogis knew it. Modern neuroscience proves it. Inhale with awareness, and you begin to interrupt the habitual patterns that keep your mind looping in stress, fear, and overthinking. Exhale fully, and you create space. Literal space in the brain and energetic space in your field for something new to emerge. That something is often what you've been asking for all along, but couldn't hear over the noise of survival. You see, intuition doesn't thrive in chaos. It thrives in coherence. And breath is a tool to return to coherence quickly, accessibly, anywhere. No apps, no gurus, just you and your biology aligned. Research from the HeartMath Institute shows that when breathing becomes rhythmic and heart-centered, the body enters a state called heart coherence. In this state, the heart and brain sync up, emotions regulate, cortisol drops, clarity increases, and most importantly, intuitive capacity skyrockets. You don't just feel better, you receive better. Information, direction, alignment. This is why monks can sit in silence for hours and suddenly know things. Why elite performers take deep breaths before life-changing moments. They're not calming down. They're tuning in. And so can you. Try this. Place your hand over your heart. Inhale for 5 counts. Hold for 2. Exhale for 6. Do this 3 times right now. And notice what shifts not just in your breath, in your awareness. It's subtle at first. Then it becomes unmistakable, because when you breathe like this, you're doing more than oxygenating blood. You're reprogramming your field. You're resetting the chemistry of intuition. You're telling your inner world, it's time to remember who we are. And the more you practice this, the less you seek answers outside yourself, because they start arising from within, in the stillness, in the space between thoughts, in the sensation that grows louder with every conscious breath. This isn't about breathing to relax. This is about breathing to awaken, to activate the quantum intelligence stored in your cells, to ignite the soul memory that's been waiting for your signal, not the signal of stress, the signal of readiness, of presence, of sovereignty. Because the truth is, intuition isn't waiting to be found. It's waiting to be felt. And breath is the first step, not just into relaxation, but into remembering. In just a moment, we're going to take this even deeper, moving beyond the breath into the biochemical intelligence of the body. You're about to discover how serotonin, often thought of as brain chemistry, is actually the bridge between intuition and embodiment. And once you understand this, you'll never doubt your inner knowing again. Stay close. It's getting powerful. Now, when we talk about intuition, we often imagine something airy, elusive, maybe even spiritual. But what if your intuition is also chemical? What if the signals guiding your most powerful decisions don't come from the sky, but from your gut, your skin, your fascia? Let's break this open. You've probably heard of serotonin, the feel-good neurotransmitter. What most people don't know is that up to 95% of serotonin isn't made in the brain. It's made in the gut. And not just the gut, it's distributed through your blood, your connective tissue, your nervous system. It influences how you sense, how you perceive, and how you decide, long before your logical brain ever gets involved. This isn't just digestion, it's direction. Your body is its own universe of intelligence. a complex web of signals that constantly measures, responds, adapts, and serotonin plays a vital role in that communication system. It modulates how tense or relaxed your tissues are. It regulates how your heart responds to subtle shifts in emotion. It determines how available you are physically, emotionally, spiritually to receive intuitive insight. Think of it this way. When serotonin is flowing, your body is open, your tissues are soft, your awareness is expanded, you are present, and presence is the only place where intuition can land, not in the chaos of mental noise, but in the grounded hum of a body in balance. This is where science meets subtlety. You might notice that when you're stressed, truly stressed, it's not just your thoughts that race. Your stomach tightens, your chest feels closed, your neck gets rigid. That's not just anxiety. That's your body losing intuitive access. Your chemistry shifts into a mode of defense. And in defense, there's no space for vision, only vigilance. But when you calm the system through breath, touch, nourishment, presence, serotonin flows again. And with it, your intuitive signal gets clearer. You feel what's right before you know it. You sense a yes in your chest or a no in your gut. That's not guessing. That's biological wisdom. Even your fascia, the connective tissue that wraps your entire body like a web of light, holds memory, tension, trauma, and knowing. It's electric. It responds to movement, emotion, and even intention. When you move with awareness, when you stretch or shake or breathe deeply, you're not just releasing muscles, you're activating the deep antenna of the body that speak in feelings, not words. You see, the body doesn't lie. It doesn't rationalize. It doesn't negotiate with logic. It feels instantly, honestly, and without agenda. That's why the most intuitive people aren't always the most spiritual. They're the most embodied. They're tuned into the cues beneath the mind. And here's where it gets quantum. The quantum field, doesn't respond to what you think. It responds to what you are. And what you are is a symphony of biochemical, emotional, and energetic signals. When your serotonin is balanced, your nervous system is regulated, and your fascia is open, you emit a frequency of coherence. And coherence magnetizes clarity. So, if you've ever wondered why your intuitive sense comes alive after a walk, a cry, a bath, or dance, now you know. You return to chemistry. You return to signal clarity. You made space for wisdom to emerge from within. And this is just the beginning. Because once you understand that your intuition is not separate from your biology, but encoded within it, you stop waiting for signs. You start listening to sensations. You stop doubting your path. You start feeling it with your entire being. You don't need to open your third eye to access intuition. You need to open your gut, your chest, your cells. You need to give your body permission to trust again. Trust itself. Trust the moment. Trust that what it knows doesn't need to be justified to your rational mind. And that's exactly what we're going to expand in the next few minutes. Because right now, your body is already responding. It's already remembering. And in just a moment, we're going to reveal how your brain, specifically your RS, is a hidden gatekeeper of what your intuition lets through. You'll understand why you miss intuitive signals and how to tune your focus to finally receive them. Keep breathing. This is about to unlock everything. You're not thinking your way into intuition. You're sensing your way in. And chances are your body knew long before your mind was ready to accept it. That uneasy feeling in your gut when someone's words don't match their energy. That chill down your spine when you're standing in the right place at the wrong time. That moment you walk into a room and feel something is off before anyone says a word. That's not anxiety. It's not overthinking. It's information. Pure, precise, pre-verbal. This is where most people get stuck because the modern mind is trained to trust thoughts over sensations, to validate logic over inner knowing. But in truth, your body always speaks first through subtle changes in breath, heart rate, muscle tension, micro movements, and energetic contraction or expansion. And the delay between what your body already knows and what your mind eventually admits. That gap is often where doubt, confusion, and missed opportunities live. Let's go deeper. From a neuroscience perspective, your interoceptive system, the part of your brain responsible for sensing internal body states, is constantly scanning your organs, tissues, and fascia for signals. and it sends that information upward, often triggering emotional or instinctual responses before the neocortex, your thinking brain, ever gets involved. In other words, your intuition is not mystical. It's biological, but we've been taught to ignore it, to override instinct with intellect. The result? A population living in their heads, disconnected from their bodies, constantly looking outward for answers that were whispered inward all along. Here's the shift. When you stop asking, "What should I do?" and start asking, "What does my body know right now?" everything changes. You begin to access real-time data from the field through your own physiology. You begin to move with precision, not projection. And most importantly, you start to trust the language of sensation over the noise of mental narratives. Let me tell you a story. A woman once told me that for years she ignored the tightness in her chest every time she stepped into her corporate job. She called it just stress. She rationalized it as normal pressure. But that tightness wasn't random. It was her body screaming. This place is out of alignment with who you are becoming. The moment she gave that sensation her full attention without judgment, without trying to fix it, a different kind of clarity emerged. Within months, she had transitioned into a role that lit her up, and that chest tightness gone because the body stops shouting when the soul feels heard. Now pause. What has your body been trying to say lately? That your mind keeps dismissing? That fatigue that won't go away? That restlessness that spikes every Sunday night? That subtle nausea around certain people? These aren't flaws in your system. They are guides. And the more you soften into them, the more precise your inner compass becomes. But here's the part that most people miss. Your sensations don't lie, but your interpretations can. That's why embodiment practices are so crucial. Because until you learn to sit with sensation, not run from it, not numb it, not overanalyze it, you won't hear its true message. And intuition doesn't speak in words. It speaks in pulses, patterns, textures, and waves. If you've been struggling to make aligned decisions, if you felt stuck in analysis paralysis, it's not because you lack clarity. It's because you're trying to think through a process that requires feeling. The next chapter of your life, it's not written in strategy. It's written in sensation. And the more you return to your body, the more that truth becomes impossible to ignore. Comment below. My body already knows. Say it, type it, feel it. Let that truth ripple into your next decision. Ready to continue? Next, we'll explore how creativity, movement, and sound become real-time portals to unlock the intuitive intelligence that's been waiting beneath your surface. Let's keep going. If your thoughts are loud and your intuition feels distant, try moving. Not because you're avoiding the stillness, but because there are truths that only emerge when your body is in motion. You see, the body doesn't always speak in words or thoughts. It speaks in movement, in rhythm, intention released, and breath reclaimed. And when you activate your creative center, whether through painting, dancing, journaling, or simply humming a melody, you're not just being artistic. You're unlocking the most ancient, unfiltered language of your being, the one that existed long before language, the one intuition knows best. Let's be clear, creativity isn't a luxury. It's not just for artists. It's a biological function, a neural detox that clears emotional residue and opens space for intuitive precision. And this isn't just poetic. It's backed by neuroscience. When you engage in spontaneous creative action like free drawing, singing without lyrics, or dancing with your eyes closed, you shift brain activity from the default mode network associated with repetitive thinking and ego identity into the limbic and sensory systems, which are directly tied to emotional memory and bodily awareness. What does that mean? It means creativity quiets the ego and amplifies the intuitive signal. There's a reason so many breakthroughs happen during a long walk, or why ideas drop in during a shower, or why a 5-minute sketch can reveal what 5 hours of overthinking never could. It's because creativity unhooks the mental filter and lets deeper intelligence rise to the surface. A woman once told me that after years of talk therapy, she had a single dance session, just her music and a candle-lit room where she moved without thinking. In less than an hour, she felt something inside her shift. Tears came, not from pain, from release, from remembering. She said, "That one movement taught me more about what I was holding in years of analyzing ever could." Why? Because the body holds what the mind avoids, and intuition lives not in clarity, but in courage. The courage to feel without needing to explain. Now think about your own life. Have you ever found yourself doodling while on a phone call only to look back and realize that your drawing captured exactly how you were feeling? Have you ever journaled without agenda and discovered insights that stunned you? That wasn't random. That was your deeper intelligence slipping past your mental gatekeeper and finally being heard. And yet most people dismiss these moments. They tell themselves they're not creative, that it's a waste of time, that real growth requires discipline, structure, seriousness. But what if that belief is the very thing blocking your intuitive channel? What if the fastest way to hear your inner voice again is to loosen your body, let the energy move, and allow what's inside be expressed imperfectly, messily, beautifully? This is the paradox. Intuition isn't found in answers. It's found in expression. Whether you dance, hum, paint, write, drum, cook, photograph, or improvise a melody with no lyrics, every act of authentic creation is a signal flare to the field. I'm listening now, and the field always responds. So if you're feeling stuck in your head, frozen in indecision, try this. Put on a song that moves you. Close the door. Turn off the lights and just let your body move. No choreography, no judgment, just motion, breath, rhythm. You might cry, you might laugh, you might feel nothing at all. That's okay. The point isn't to get it right. The point is to let your body say what your mind can't translate. Because when you create without control, you remember what your mind forgot. You already know. You always did. And when you learn to trust this embodied wisdom, when you create not for performance, but for connection, you unlock the most magnetic, trustworthy compass there is. Next, we'll take it one layer deeper. Because the world is constantly speaking to you too in the form of color, light, synchronicities, and beauty. Let's talk about how to recognize those signs, and why noticing beauty is the most advanced intuitive skill of all. Some truths don't shout, they whisper. They arrive not as thoughts, but as goosebumps, as the stillness you feel when you look at the sky just before it rains, as the way a single piece of music makes you want to cry for no reason at all. That's beauty, but not just in the poetic sense. Beauty is not a bonus feature of life. It's an energetic signature, a field resonance, a direct message from quantum to your body. It's the final frontier of intuitive intelligence. You see, we've been conditioned to think of beauty as superficial, something we observe or consume. But in truth, beauty is a vibrational alignment. When you notice something beautiful, your nervous system calms, your heart rate synchronizes, your brain waves soften into coherence. That's not subjective. That's physics. The Heart Math Institute has shown that states of appreciation and awe-induced physiological coherence, a measurable harmony between heart and brain rhythms. This coherence in turn expands perception, sharpens cognition, and opens the intuitive channel. Why? Because appreciation shifts you out of contraction and into receptivity. And intuition isn't something you push to get. It's something you allow. There's a reason sacred geometry feels so pleasing to the eye. Why nature's patterns, spirals, fractals, golden ratios bring a sense of quiet recognition. It's because they're reminders, reflections of a code that lives inside you. The same code that your intuition speaks. Beauty isn't decoration. It's information. And once you start seeing the world that way, everything shifts. You begin to notice how the sunlight hits your floor differently in the morning, how the sound of your own breath becomes rhythmic, almost musical, how a stranger's smile feels like a signal, not an accident. It's subtle, but it's everywhere. And once you tune into this layer of reality, you'll wonder how you ever missed it. Beauty is how the field says, yes, keep going. It's how your soul recognizes resonance before your mind can catch up. It also explains why some places instantly feel right and others drain you, why some people light you up and others confuse your energy. It's all about frequency, and your body is constantly measuring it through sensation, emotion, and aesthetic perception. But here's the catch. Most people rush through life too fast to notice. They override beauty with productivity. They silence all with logic. They suppress wonder in favor of efficiency. And in doing so, they cut themselves off from the most precise, intuitive guidance available. So here's your invitation. Start seeing beauty not as background, but as feedback. Not as something to admire, but something to receive. Pause more. Look closer. Let the simple become sacred again. That moment when the breeze shifts and your body relaxes for no reason. That's the field responding. That's your intuition confirming alignment. And when you start following those breadcrumbs, when you treat beauty as a compass, not the reward, your path becomes guided in ways your mind could never engineer. You don't need more information. You need more resonance. Take the step. Let your intuition lead you there.